distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It's a pleasure to be here tonight, celebrating Australia's National Day with all of you. My attendance tonight is of some significance, not because I'm going to tell you, as I did on the French National Day last July, that this is probably my last appearance as the Chief Secretary for Administration, but because I'm coming here to congratulate this wonderful country following a most fruitful official trip to Australia in September last year. My week-long visit to Australia was upon the invitation of the Honourable Julie Bishop, Foreign Minister, and 2 days after my arrival, Australia has a new Prime Minister. But amazingly, none of my scheduled appointments with senior government officials and members of the Parliament were affected. In addition, Consul General, I must take this opportunity to again express my gratitude to your government for the meticulous preparation that has gone into arranging my program and the warm hospitality extended to me by everyone I met. I particularly appreciate the lady bodyguards who had accompanied me throughout my stay in Australia, a privilege that the Hong Kong Police Force has never bestowed upon me whenever I'm acting Chief Executive. I understand the theme of this year's Australia Day is celebrate what's great. Yes, Australia has much to celebrate, starting with breathtaking diversity in land and climate, in flora and fauna, and of course in its people. Nearly 1 in 4 of the some 24 million people who make up the world's 6th largest country were born outside Australia. Many more are first and second generation Australians. I saw firsthand your country's diversity and its beauty. This is a bit of exaggeration. Actually, I've seen nothing on the landscape that you have just seen from the video. My home week in Australia was filled with meetings. And why you have so much to be thankful for during my week-long visit to your country. In particular, I'm honored that the Governor of Victoria, the Honourable Linda Dessel, hosted me and my colleagues at the gorgeous Government House during our stay in Melbourne. And when we were in Sydney, the Honourable David Hurley, Governor of New South Wales, invited us for lunch at the equally impressive Government House overseeing the famous Sydney Opera House. With the strong support provided by your Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, I met with various senior government officials at the federal, state, and city levels to discuss and exchange views on various fronts, ranging from trade and investment to design, arts and culture. I traveled from Melbourne to Canberra and on to Sydney, meeting with Deputy Prime Minister Warren Truss, Foreign Minister Julie Bishop, Premier of Victoria Daniel Andrews, New South Wales Governor David Hurley, and Deputy Premier Floyd Grant, as well as other senior officials, politicians, and leaders from the business and corporate sectors. I also called on the Honourable Tony Smith, Speaker of the House of Representatives of the Australian Parliament, and had the opportunity of attending a question time at the House of Representatives. I'm glad to tell you here all that it was a fruitful and productive trip, forging stronger ties between Hong Kong and Australia. In particular, I received very enthusiastic responses to our proposal to strengthen collaboration between Hong Kong and Victoria in the area of design. In fact, shortly after my trip to Australia, Governor Dessel paid a visit to Hong Kong. After hosting a lunch for her at my official residence, I took her and her colleagues to the PMQ, our creative landmark with designer stores, studios, architectural offices, exhibition spaces, and a marketplace. My colleagues are already following up with the Victorian Government and the Melbourne City Council with a view to materializing projects for collaboration, and I hope that such projects can come into fruition soon. Collaboration in the area of culture and creative industries is no less important than forging closer economic and trade ties. Indeed, one of my personal highlights during the visit was officiating at the premiere of The Legend of Mulan, performed by Hong Kong Dance Company at Sydney's Concourse Theatre. And I should also mention my visit to the City Dance Company, meeting their many talented dancers and previewing their rehearsal performance for our Hong Kong audience. I strongly hope that our collaboration in this area will continue to flourish. Australia and Hong Kong have long been good friends and good business partners, keen to cooperate whatever the opportunity. In business, our mutual appreciation of free trade and the value it brings is clear and compelling. I must congratulate the Australian government, and in particular the Honourable Andrew Rock, Minister for Trade and Investment, for sealing free trade agreements with North Asia's three largest economies, mainland China, Japan, and South Korea. Our commitment to free trade is very much in evidence in Hong Kong-Australia trade relations. Merchandise trade between us was up nearly 9% year-on-year through November 2015. And in 2014, Hong Kong was Australia's third largest trading partner in services. The Australian Chamber of Commerce in Hong Kong, which I'm sure is very well represented here this evening, is the largest Australian business community outside Australia. But what strikes me, and something I confess I did not know prior to my visit, is that Hong Kong is Australia's sixth largest source of investment, totaling 77 billion Australian dollars at the end of 2014. Our investment ranges from infrastructure and mining to telecommunications, banking, and agriculture. During my visit to Australia, I was briefed by the New South Wales government on the Sydney Metro Northwest project, which is Australia's largest public transport infrastructure project under construction and first fully automated rapid transit network. Hong Kong's Mass Transit Railway Corporation Limited is a majority shareholder of the joint venture, which will run the rail operations. So, Council General, I'm glad that our know-how in project management and railway operation is able to contribute to your country's infrastructure development. Given that we are both staunch advocates of trade and investment liberalization, I believe that an Australia-Hong Kong free trade agreement, as well as a comprehensive avoidance of double taxation agreement, would only expand our cooperation right across the board in trade, in goods and services, in investment, and in the field of people. That can only bring about economic benefits for both sides. This is why I appealed to your senior government officials for their support in the earlier agreement to commence negotiations with Hong Kong on these important facts. And I'm glad that this has the full support of the Australian Chamber of Commerce. The Chief Executive said in his 2016 policy address earlier this month that the Hong Kong SAR government will play an active role to facilitate the implementation of the Belt and Road Initiative, which includes the 21st Century Maritime Silk Road, linking China through the South Sea and South Pacific to the Indian Ocean and Europe. This provides a wealth of opportunities for Australia, especially in light of your country's vision to unlock the great potential and opportunities of the North and the ever-increasing investment from China in those areas. And Hong Kong, as the super connector between mainland China and the rest of the world in a wide range of aspects, can certainly play an important role to strengthen the ties between China and Australia, riding on the opportunities under the Belt and Road Initiative. Our role as super connector is not only limited to the area of business, and what helps business to flourish is not just government agreements. As you have just heard from the Consul General, our relationship is built on real friendships at both professional and personal levels over many years. This is why our Chief Executive has mentioned on many occasions that we can play a role in strengthening people-to-people bond. For example, in the area of education, Australia is among the most popular destinations for Hong Kong students. As of last June, nearly 8,200 Hong Kong students were studying in Australia. And during my trip, I met some of them studying in the University of Melbourne. And thanks in part to Australia's new colonial plan, more Australian undergraduate students are now studying in Hong Kong universities. Australian youth are also visiting and working in Hong Kong through the Hong Kong Australia Working Holiday Scheme. Established in 2001, which is the second amongst all the 10 similar agreements that we have signed with other countries, it has attracted about 1,600 Australians in Hong Kong and more than 50,000 Hong Kong youths to Australia. My speech cannot possibly finish without mentioning tourism, especially what you have just seen in this beautiful promotional video. Over the first 11 months of last year, Australia was Hong Kong's 6th largest inbound market for visitors. Some 520,000 visitors from Australia came to Hong Kong during this period. This, of course, can be attributable to the excellent connection between Hong Kong and Australia, with around 100 flights between Hong Kong and Cairns, Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide, and Perth per week. And from early January this year, Gold Coast has become the 7th city with direct flights from Hong Kong. Ladies and gentlemen, the outlook for closer bilateral relations between Hong Kong and Australia is very promising. And I thank you all for playing a part in fostering this strong bond between the two places. Since it's still January, and with the Chinese New Year just around the corner, may I wish you all a very prosperous and successful Year of the Monkey. So please join me now in a toast. To the great nation and people of Australia.